a long time, Layla thought she was having hallucinations. Layla often felt that. She sometimes mistook the fruit that dropped from the tree for a squirrel. Because of her poor eyesight, she was often frightened when she thought of a tree branch floating in the water as a person. However, the visible silhouette that appeared from the water this time was unmistakably a human, and it was a man, a tall, bare-chested man. Layla couldn't stick to her self-justification that it was all a trick of the light as his wet black hair emerged into her view. Right now, afloat on the river undoubtedly, was the Duke Matias von Herhart. The flabbergasted Layla threw down the newspaper she was holding. Her intuition had taught her everything. Close your eyes for the time being. No. Get off the tree as quickly as you can and get out of this forest. Or, at the very least, just shout in surprise, but all Layla could do was stare at the guy in his nakedness. Dumbstruck. Beyond a doubt, it was Duke Herhart. The man clearly returned Layla's stare, with no intention of hiding his nude body while still afloat in the river.
I'm hoping he'll drift away.
By the time the breeze began to rage with gusto, the Duke had started to swim for the river's edge, to the place where Layla was.
No.
The cry of Layla echoed up into the cloudless sky.
No, don't come here. You can't come.
Layla quickly climbed down from the oak, shrieking in panic. She couldn't think of anything, so she didn't even bother to greet the Duke with courtesy. Layla dropped her basket as well as her hat and bolted quickly. She raced through the forest without noticing how fast her legs ran.
Layla.
Layla bumped into Kyle around halfway up the path leading to the cottage. Kyle was flummoxed when he saw her and immediately caught Layla, who almost fell.
Where have you been? I was looking for you because you weren't at home.
Kyle, what should I do?
Layla muttered hoarsely. She gasped for breath like a half-crazed person.
Why? What's going on? Did you come across a wild animal?
Kyle moved his gaze beyond the road as Layla shook her head vehemently. There was little to be found. In front of them, all he saw was just an ordinary forest.
Then what is it? What is it that has shocked you so much?
What should I do?
Layla sobbed and fell to the ground, shook her head a couple of times. She didn't want to remember, but the image of the Duke's muscular body kept flickering through her mind.
What should I do, Kyle?
If you could tell me what your problem is, I'll answer you. What the heck is it?
Kyle sighed as he kneeled in front of her. In no time, Layla's face had rendered as crimson as a freshly picked raspberry. Kyle started giggling.
Hey, what things did you see? Did you see a ghost?
No.
Layla had everything she wanted to say, but her lips couldn't open.
It's something scarier than that.
Her hot gasps split out the phrases she softly whispered. Water dripped down his nose from the tip of his wet hair. Matias was still bemused by the incredible scene that had happened in front of him. He swam to his annex's dock and wore his clothes. After that, Matias approached the tree where Layla had dumped all her belongings before she ran away. Matias looked through the traces left by Layla. Near the tree, there was a big basket and a hat, a newspaper on the ground, and a wet handkerchief. After checking the basket full of raspberries, he let out a fake chuckle. He couldn't believe that girl was carrying such a large basket with her slender arms. Did she want to get rid of all the raspberries in the Arvis forest? Matias glanced up to the beautiful oak tree and realized that it was the same tree where he had almost shot that little girl a few years ago. When he remembered the moment when her little face, sitting on the branch, looked at him vacantly, Matias cracked out laughing. Don't tell me she still plays around climbing trees. At first, he was thinking of chasing after her. Matias, however, changed his mind and returned to the mansion because this afternoon, he had a meeting with the board of directors of his family company. Matias understood that it was his most important duty to uphold the honor and authority of the Herhart family and hand them on to the next Herhart. He'd never questioned his own abilities, so Matias had great confidence that he would perform his duties better than anyone else. Once Matias finally arrived at the mansion, he went straight to his bedroom. The time before his next appointment was still an hour out. Matias leaned against the chair by the window on the west side of his bedroom. He was about to rise from his chair. He heard the sound of the chirping bird. Matias turned his eyes to the source of the noise. On the table, he found the canary inside the birdcage was humming. Matias sauntered to the birdcage and unlocked its door. The canary inside stopped humming and flailed its clipped wings and escaped from the cage. He was about to leave the room when he changed his mind and leaned against the window frame to watch the bird. Canary fell, and then hovered around the room without pausing. After a while, the canary grew tired and perched down peacefully on the armrest of the chair. Matias took the bird and put it back in the cage. The canary obediently entrusted itself to its owner rather than struggling and giving out a deafening chirp. Matias was intrigued by the bird's personality change, so he tried putting it on his forefinger. He wanted the bird to fly, but it surprisingly stayed still and kept looking at him. It feels like I've found a new world. Looking at Layla muttering something incomprehensible in shock. The gray-haired optician just let out a robust chuckle.
I understand. Your eyesight is bad. You must be having a hard time.
No, it's not that bad. Except when I have to read books.
Layla cheerfully answered while putting down her glasses on the table after she had adjusted them. Her smoggy world miraculously became visible, and the clear view in front of her enthralled her once more. Layla's fingertips had turned the harvest of raspberries produced by the forest into jam. After saving up enough money to buy a pair of glasses, she rode her bike downtown. She quickly drove to the optometrist's shop, where she used to visit frequently. Layla headed out of the shop after consulting with the optician for a few minutes longer. Through her glasses, the scenery on the outside now became so crystal clear. It seemed strange yet mesmerizing. Layla conveyed her gratitude and love for the Arvis Forest's wild fruits, which shone brilliantly in the warm sun. She also praised herself for the long hours she had spent stirring raspberry jam in front of the stove in the sweltering weather. But why? Why did she still have those terrible memories on such joyous occasions? Layla sighed as she remembered the day she accidentally saw the Duke's body nearly naked. She was both ashamed and frightened, so Layla had to wait until the sun had fallen before leaving to collect her basket and hat. After that day, Layla became embarrassed every time she saw guys, even to look at Uncle Bill and Kyle. How could he swim naked in the river, even though it's his estate? More so in broad daylight? Layla shook her head, trying to remove the traumatic memory from her mind. I shouldn't go to the riverside until the Duke leaves this estate. Layla committed to herself and was preparing to return to the estate until she heard a voice she recognized.
Layla?
Well, it's her.
Layla?
Well, it's her. Unmistakably, that loud high voice belonged to Claudine von Brandt. Layla stopped to catch her breath before finally turning around. Her face was lit up with a polite smile, but her body froze as she unexpectedly locked eyes with Duke Herhart, the person who had just disturbed her mind just a few moments ago. Layla had a clear view of the man in front of her. She abruptly shifted her gaze to Claudine, who was standing alongside him. Claudine didn't visit Arvis as much as she used to when Duke Herhart was away serving as an officer on the battlefield's front lines. It had been a long time since Claudine had seen her, and Layla had grown into a gorgeous woman. The two gracefully nodded to accept Layla's greeting after she courteously paid her respects to them.
When did you start wearing glasses? I almost mistook you for someone else.
Layla hoped for her to leave, but Claudine spoke again. Layla faced her with a prepared smile and tried hard not to look Duke Herhart in the eyes.
Have you been doing well?
Through her slightly opened eyes, Claudine meticulously analyzed Layla.
Yes, miss.
We were on our way to have some tea.
Claudine used her eyes to guide Layla's attention to the hotel across the street.
Let's go together, Layla.
What?
It's been a long time since we've seen each other, so I'd like to have a cup of tea with you. Is that fine with you, Duke Herhart?
Matias conveyed his approval with a thin smile on the tip of his lips after Claudine asked him. As usual, they seemed uninterested in what Layla had to say. Layla sighed and began to follow them from behind as the two continued their stroll. The sound of footsteps was mingled with the clunking sound of the old wheel when Layla dragged her bicycle behind them.